What do you think about the black background? The red was too red. The blue is too blue. The black is just right. Yeah, I'm a centrist. All the great centrists in American history don't exist. I want to talk about street epistemology. I haven't talked about it in a long time. I haven't even said the phrase street epistemology in a long time. Who here doesn't know what that is? Sasha? Yeah, Sasha's not that bright. He doesn't know what it is. So this is for you, Sasha. Street epistemology is a dialectic tool. It's a... Oh, you don't know what dialectic means. It's... Yeah, I'm being condescending. But I know Sasha can handle it. So relax, folks. It is a way of conversing with people that promotes civility. It dives deep into the real reasons people believe things or don't believe things. It examines the real issues. It's an efficient way to see what would change someone's mind. Shivery, you know there's no refunds. I better put up the live stream chat here so people can see how gracious Shivery is. Thanks for the donation. So it's a great tool, and I first learned about it from a great guy named Anthony Magnabosco. He hasn't posted videos on his channel in a long time, but as soon as I saw what he was doing, I'm going, yeah, this works. I mean, this is good. I like it. Please make a 5-part video series about how to SC. Oh, it doesn't take 5 parts, in my opinion. Okay, I'm taking a huge risk here because I have a lot of good friends in the street epistemology community. And I was telling my wife yesterday, I really don't even like that word community anymore. To me, community has become this evil word that represents tribalism and bias, and I don't want to offend my tribe and my clique. So every time I hear the word community, I get this, I almost throw up in my mouth. Like I almost rather have society be comprised of a bunch of pariahs, a bunch of mavericks, a bunch of people who can be civil and get along with other people, but still are not part of any tribe. I honestly think that might be better for society, but evolution will prove me wrong on that. Millions of years of evolution will say, no, Doug, you're wrong. We need tribes in order to survive. Yeah, okay, evolution. Why am I looking up? Evolution's not up. You're right, evolution. I got to switch to the live stream. I always get chastised for that. So have I strawmanned what street epistemology is good enough yet? Because whenever I should probably bring up the street epistemology website and read what they say verbatim, otherwise I'll get in trouble. But you get the gist of it, right? Let me be like Mike Lacona and tell you about the gist. No, I'm not an anarchist. Like I love the humans; they're very interesting. But okay, so here's those are the good things about street epistemology. Its heart is in the right place. Here's the bad things, though. When I first started having YouTube channels, going on social media, and I started using this technique of mostly asking questions, the Socratic method, trying to get to the real issues, people started to ask me questions, and I gave honest answers. And so now they knew where I stood, right? But here's the problem. As soon as people found out I was an atheist, the Christians didn't want to talk to me, or were less likely to talk to me, or were instinctively more defensive when talking to me. So I had to evolve. I had to change. And how did I change? I put all my cards on the table. What does that mean? That means I had to start telling Christians, look, I think that the things you believe are crazy and nuts. I've said this to people, to Christians. Now, guess what happened? You would think that's a terrible thing to do. But it turned out to work because they go, okay, at least this atheist is honest. Because I was accused of feigning civility, feigning niceness. I was accused of these things. Like, of all the things to be accused of, you would think that would be a not bad thing to be accused of, right? Even if you're pretending to be nice, wouldn't you rather have someone pretend to be nice to you than be mean and cruel to you? Anyhow, so I changed in how I did street epistemology by letting people know where I was coming from. Now, that still caused people to be hesitant to talk to me. It still caused people to have their defenses up. But at least for some Christians, some theists, they go, well, okay, at least he's not claiming to be neutral. And I agree with the precepts who say there is no such thing as neutrality. We all have these biases. We all have our tribes. We all come from certain cultures and way of thinking about things. So let's not pretend to be neutral. Now, as soon as I have a YouTube channel and I start answering questions and letting people know where I stand on certain issues, the gig is up. There is no pretending to be neutral. Like, people will know, okay, Doug is a climate change alarmist denier, and I am. I'm against this whole alarmism thing. Doug is against hormones or hormone blocking for trans people. I've said this. Doug is for more closed borders than open borders. He hates immigrants. I haven't said I hate immigrants. I'm sure I do hate some immigrants, especially the Canadians who can't skate. But the gig's up, so you gotta change. Now, how does this relate to Peter Boghossian? The gig is up for him too. He's let people know where he stands on certain issues. So for certain people, they will choose to dislike him greatly because they perceive he is not on their team. So he can perform what's called perfect SE technique by asking questions, the right questions in the right manner. And guess what? For some people, it's not going to make a dent. They're not going to listen to him. They're not even going to be willing to answer his questions. They're more likely to either just walk away or swear at him. And we've seen this happen in real time. Now, the problem is people who... Peter Boghossian is the guy who wrote the book Manual for Creating Atheists. But it seems like the whole atheist versus theism thing is dying out. Sorry for all you people out there with YouTube channels about anti-theism, me included. It's dying out. And now it's more the political issues that people are talking about. I hate to say that the atheists have won on this one, but we kind of have. Religion has just become just a way of finding comfort in life, and even a lot of theists agree with this. Jesus gives me comfort. And so it's almost like we're kind of moving on. And I think Peter Boghossian has moved on from religion. So that whole book about a manual for creating atheists, is it applicable today? Not really. But in that manual, he talks about street epistemology, and so street epistemology and Peter Boghossian, those two phrases, those two words, those four words, go hand in hand. And this is the problem with some people in the street epistemology community. It's because people know where he stands. This caused some people not to like Peter, and therefore this causes some people not to like street epistemology. And I'm taking a big risk here because a lot of my own friends might hate me, but that's never stopped me before. But if your brand of street epistemology, if your community of street epistemology is so fragile that one guy, even if he started the whole thing, can cause its demise, you probably didn't have anything that good or real to begin with. Ooh. Think about it this way. Steven Anderson is a Christian who lives just 2 hours from me. He's one of those Christians that says if I had a button to kill all gay people, I'd press it. He's that type of Christian. Now, there's other types of Christians who are what's called progressive liberal type Christians who just want to love everybody. Jesus says love, love, love. Let's just love everybody. Christianity is still going on in the United States of America, even though there's Steven Andersons in the world. So let me try to resonate with some people in the street epistemology community who think that one man can bring down a whole brand. Steven Anderson exists, and yet Christianity still exists. You'll be fine. People still have ideas and want to share them. What else can I say about this? Oh, Reid's here. Am I in trouble, Reid? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you I'm in trouble? So what's my advice to people who like street epistemology? Just do what you do. Just keep doing what you're doing. And if, because of Peter, people won't talk to you, make your own shirt that says, I'm not with Peter. I mean, or do perfect street epistemology with people who don't want to talk to you because of Peter. Use street epistemology to get at the real reasons why they won't talk to you because of Peter. And the thing is, okay, Peter and I are very similar in a lot of ways. Because there's times where I think even the street epistemology people will look at parts of some of the videos I make and say, "Whoa, that's Doug did some good stuff there, some real good street epistemology there." And then other things they'll say, "The Doug just screwed that up." But they don't realize that there's times where I purposely do want to screw up street epistemology, and I just want to make claims or tell people that they're wrong. I have these desires to do so. Sometimes I do want to use sarcasm and make people feel bad. Look at Christopher Hitchens. It worked great for him. These are all techniques. They're things you have in your tool bag that you can use. Like if you want change in society, mocking, sarcasm, ridicule can work. So can very civil dialogue can work. Shaming can work, praising can work, empathy can work. So I think it's a real skill to know when to use what. When I was on The Line, the transatlantic show, I did everything in my power to be as civil as I could be. I barely even said anything, asked questions. But you could tell the hostility against me because they knew where I stood. They knew I was not in their tribe. So guess what? Street epistemology is worth a diddly squat for some people. If they hate you, if they hate your position on something, street epistemology is not going to work. So the only way you can be successful at doing strict street epistemology is if people know almost nothing about you. You have to be like a vapor to them. Like they have no idea where you stand on things. Because as soon as you take a stand on something, there are going to be people who will not want to engage with you. Like, look at this. Let me bring this up. Here's Peter talking to a guy about whether, or some people, about whether pronouns should be accommodated.
Everybody cool?
Yep.
Okay. Don't move. Please don't move until I say move. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move.
So this is like a game.
Okay. You're on strongly agree, you're on strongly agree, and you're on slightly agree. Tell him in particular why you strongly agree.
The reason why I strongly agree is because I feel like people get confused between respecting people as who they are and then...
So he's having people who probably, this is a guess, but the people who are playing this game, you ask a question, strongly agree. My guess is these people don't know who Peter is. They've never read his books. They probably have never seen his YouTube channel. Works fine. And Peter's just asking questions and helping people who are within this game understand each other's position by asking questions using the Socratic method.
Respecting like religion and stuff like that. So I feel like there's a different and like
Tell him
concept.
so we can hear.
Just in general, like I feel like the concepts between understanding people's pronouns is misunderstood from understanding people's religion.
Okay. Why do you strongly agree with that? Tell him so he can hear it.
I strongly...
Yeah, like, if I was to critique Peter here, like, tell him, like, he's commanding them. There's probably a better, nicer way of saying this. But, people understand, like, that Peter's not wishing any harm on them and having this conversation. So you can be like, tell him. Or you could throw in the word please for the people who are a little more sensitive. Please tell him. But this is great, guys. This is awesome, what Peter's doing here. But again, this would not work if these three people were pro one issue and knew that Peter was anti that same issue. They would say, wait a minute, you're that guy? So it's kind of like the more famous Peter will get, will these types of games become less possible for him to perform, to do? Like, people are so stupid. Isn't it? Aren't people stupid? Like, some people, I should say, right? Like, as soon as they know your position, they're more hesitant to talk to you. Like, a lot of people are like that. And that has to change. Like, I don't know. It seems like it's evolutionary. It's an evolutionary problem, though. It's like some people are just like, why am I so different? Where I actually like confrontation. I like talking to people who don't believe like me. I've said, like, I don't want people who agree with me to be on my show because it's too boring. It doesn't give me a dopamine hit. Whereas other people, it's like, I only want to talk to people who agree with me. And if you're not in my tribe, then get out of here. This is our safe space. Like, to me, this is just nuts. Do you think these people know what SC is, Pinecreek? No, I just said that. My guess is they have no clue. Oh, you're talking about the transatlantic people? Yeah, they did know. Because when I went on the line, they used the phrase street epistemology, I think 2 or 3 times. And what's so crazy about this, you guys are going to love this. The transatlantic people, the hosts, remind me exactly like the Christians I would talk to. It's like, oh, you're one of those street epistemology people, aren't you? Yeah, you just want people to leave God, don't you? You're one of these people who just want to lead other people to hell, aren't you? The hosts of the transatlantic are the same way. Oh, you don't support the trans community, right? You just want trans people to not exist, right? You just want to support legislation that will kill trans kids, right? There's so many similarities between the religion of the trans community and Christianity. It's unbelievable. So what's the solution? I think the solution for the street epistemology people is if you think Peter's hurting your cause, just distance yourself from Peter. You cannot control Peter Boghossian, except the things you can't control. Number one, you cannot control him. Assume it will only get worse for how you view Peter, and then do what you need to do to have better conversations. That means you don't wear a street epistemology t-shirt. Don't wear a street epistemology t-shirt. It's actually not that hard to not wear a certain t-shirt. Or make it fun and just make your own t-shirt that says, "I'm not with Peter" t-shirts. In fact, I should brand that. Another solution to this problem, which is beyond Peter, because there's always going to be a Peter, I'm a type of Peter, is stop being so brand loyal. Just be willing to give it up. And I don't know, call it whatever you want. Just avoid the word street epistemology. I remember our last conversation on trans stuff. You said you had things to think about, but I'm not sure there's any strong disagreement theoretically. I think your issues are mostly political. Yeah, Danny, I'm not sure I want to change topics just yet. But I actually did think about what we talked about, and I didn't change my mind. I actually think I'm right. But I gave it some serious thought. Really, street epistemology is a type of cognitive coaching. That's all it is. And I'm not even sure you can brand it as something special. Yeah, even what's his name? Greg Kokel did, calling it Columbo, the Columbo method. Like, you can put names on these things, but it's basically just a certain way of talking to people. It's a Socratic method. And yeah, my other piece of advice is, besides just stop caring about the brand so much, is if you want to do strict SC and not worry about this Peter problem, because there's always going to be another Peter, what do you need to do? Don't make any claims. Don't let people know where you stand. Don't ever take a stand publicly. Because as soon as people know where you stand, now guess what? You've become like Peter. Especially if you get a lot of views. So the people who complain about Peter ruining the SC brand, you yourself will become a new Peter if you start taking stands. The thing is, do we want to live in a society where nobody takes a stand for anything and all they do is ask questions? No, we don't, right? If someone asks you, what's your position on this? Are you going to say, I'm afraid to give you my position because then I'm going to give up my neutrality and then people are going to know where I stand and they're less likely to talk to me or answer my questions? We can't live our lives like that. Yeah, Ron, Peter has written a book called How to Have Impossible Conversations. That was after the book How to Create Atheists. But I do think a lot of people, Peter's probably more willing to have conversations, especially with people out on the street, than vice versa. Like Peter does not like the woke ideology. That's no secret. But he's willing to talk to the woke people. And I think it's less so the other way around. There's actually, I can show you videos of that. I do appreciate your I'm laying a trap and go on and walk into it so we can talk about method. Yeah, I think that's brilliant in my opinion. You're letting people know that you're asking leading questions. You're letting people know that this is potentially a trap question, and you're asking them to voluntarily walk into it. The beauty of that method is the person, even though they might not want to be led or trapped, they have to acknowledge your honesty, that this is what you're doing. And the thing is, if you, just by saying, no, I don't want to answer these questions, I don't want to walk into your trap, Doug, then it's another interesting question. Well, why not? Are you scared to just look stupid? If so, why are you scared to look stupid? What's so bad about looking stupid? It gets to the human condition that even me, who's not completely dead inside, we have these apprehensions of needing respect, needing to look good, needing to look smart. And that's what I mean by being a little more dead inside, just not caring what people think about you for that moment and speaking honestly, letting people bring out inconsistencies. What have I missed, Reid? I'm trying to think of anything else I can say on this topic. Like, it seems like straight epistemology is not even used on religion anymore. I told my wife this yesterday. And it's almost like you could see her have a sigh of relief. It's amazing because my wife's a great case study. She used to fear Anthony Magnabosco and Peter Boghossian. Now, hearing some of Peter Boghossian's stances on things, she kind of now likes him. Isn't that weird? Oh yeah, that's a good point to tell the street epistemology community. A lot of people in the street epistemology community are assuming that Peter is harming the brand. Well, get this. As far as my wife is concerned, and probably millions of people like her in the United States and around the world, Peter's their view on Peter's gone up. Peter's helped the brand in their eyes. Because if my wife is the type of person, no, there should be not, we shouldn't be giving kids hormones. We shouldn't be blocking puberty in kids. And if Peter's helping people realize that, I'm for Peter. And if Peter's using street epistemology to do it, I'm for street epistemology. So I'm very curious how the people in the street epistemology community are going to take that piece of information. What evidence do you have that Peter's hurting more than helping? Because in my wife's case, Peter's helping the brand. Ooh, I like that. Reid, did you want to come on, or is that a bad idea? We need to make religious people pro-SE. I think a lot of people are. They just call it something else. Like, you even listen to the Sean McDowells of the world, and they'll give advice how to speak to the unbeliever. You ask questions. Why the black background? Because we're all going to die, Elias. You're Russian, right? You can handle it. People like Peter have a great opportunity to bridge the massive left and right tribalism of the last 50 years. Yeah, I agree. I do too. Oh, Darkin, don't ask that question of me. I ask this question to Christians and they struggle with it. Would I rather be woke or Christian again? Depends on how you define woke, but if you define it the way I define it, I lean I'd rather be Christian than woke. Yeah, see, a lot of people are flipping out right now. But again, it's the way I define it. And if you didn't want to know how I define woke, I got a short video on it. James Dean, yeah, there are plenty of how I define wokeists who are willing to have conversations. Like Nathan from Digital Gnosis, for example. He's willing. But the average person on the street who's woke, you watch Peter's videos, if, like, a lot of them are just very mentally ill people who are emotionally unhinged. Now, the same goes for the people. You can find emotionally unhinged people on the right. Don't get me wrong. They exist too.
Because at the end of the day, like, you don't understand like what persons go through at the outside of their culture, so you have to understand like where they come from. If they are for who they are, you have to respect them for who they are. That's the person that they are, and that's never going to change whatsoever.
Okay. Tell them, so you guys got to listen now, tell them why you slightly agree.
Actually, I have no quarrels with what they said.
Do you want to move over?
No, because it's just about clarity. Sometimes it's confusing. We learn these words that mean one or more than one. So that's kind of the clarity that we get lost sometimes. That's it. That's the only reason.
So if you agree with everything they said, how come you're not in the agree line?
I think there's still room for improvement. That's it.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
Just on the clarity. That's it. Because it's when someone says you have to call someone they, but we learned that they is more than one. That's the confusion.
Oh, so like a grammar thing.
Yeah, that's it. So maybe we need more words. That's it. We need more words for that clarity.
So let me ask you a question. So if somebody wants to be called they, will you call them they?
I feel like if that's what they want to be called, just to respect them, even though if I might not believe, sometimes in my own belief, like they shouldn't be called they, if they're informing me that that's what they want to be called, I'll respect them.
Like, how can anybody say there's something wrong with this or this puts a bad tarnish on the brand of SE? And he has a lot of videos like this all around the world. Now, it's probably videos like, and let's see if I can find one quickly,
Sir, we're trying to have...
where there's the problem. Oh yeah, this one.
Sir, we're trying to have a...
Oh yeah, it's the trailer one. Yeah, and the thing is, it has the name Street Epistemology in the title. Interrupting Street Epistemology Exercise in Melbourne, Australia.
On transphobic bullshit.
Well, you're welcome to play the game next time, but right now we're...
This isn't a game. This is just authorizing bullshit transphobia.
Okay, so...
Okay, now, I've seen this before quite a while back, but I'll give you my honest stance just hearing the first few words here. I view this man here as mentally ill. I view this man as unhinged emotionally, has no control over his emotions. He believes something so passionately. This man here is like a very strong religious Christian person living in the United States, and Peter's, let's say, questioning Christianity. You would get the same emotional response from some far-right conservative fundamentalist Christian. How dare you question Christianity? Jesus is Lord. This is nonsense what you're doing. Do you realize you're sending people to hell? Don't you realize you're hurting people? To me, this is what this man is doing.
I know you feel that way.
They are human beings. They are not what this piece of shit is presenting them as.
Okay, so you're welcome...
Body bits and stuff.
okay, so you're...
Are people.
Okay, so you're welcome to engage in civil conversation.
See, and so far, everything Peter's done here, in my opinion, is totally fine. Peter's not yelling back at him, inviting him for conversation, a civil dialogue.
In Victoria, you are allowed to change your gender identity on your birth certificate.
What you're trying to do right now, what you're trying to do is destroy other people's freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of communication.
That's what you're...
How am I destroying anybody's freedom of speech?
Let women speak. Yeah, I've seen.
Okay, good. You just Hitler saluted. Good. That's going to go out. That's
okay. And this is where Peter maybe made a mistake, but I think it's understandable because what this man did is compared Peter to Hitler, and I think that's pretty offensive. If I was Peter, I probably would have reacted the same way. If someone's going to compare me to Hitler. At that point, okay, gloves are off. I'll make you look bad then. But you think this is just a isolated case of how people react to certain situations. This is not isolated. This is why people need to learn how to be more dead inside. Because this man is so, I'll even be charitable towards him. He is so sincerely compassionate and full of empathy that he can't even dialogue with people. This is where having too much compassion and too much empathy is bad, because it clouds your thinking, it clouds how you can communicate. It's like, I am so upset that you're hurting people that I can't even tell you why or ask you why we disagree, I can't even communicate properly. This is how passionate I am. And he's an old man. Usually you see this from younger kids. And why is it always old men with man buns or ponytails? I don't know. You think that's narcissism? Narcissism? Maybe. Is there any other? Oh yeah, there's another example of people freaking out. And, you know, I've seen conservatives freak out about like drag queens, that sort of thing. I think a lot of that's overblown too. But some of it isn't. Reid, where's that video of that long-haired young guy going crazy?
So listen, I believe that every thought is something that is learned, right? And so just because you learn it doesn't mean it's actually true. So if you don't ever question it, you don't never know if it's right or wrong, or if that's what you really believe because you never questioned it before.
So you think questioning is important to find the truth?
Your truth, because everyone's truth is different.
Okay,
Oof.
so you think questioning is important to find your truth?
Absolutely.
Everybody's truth is different. That's a juicy softball in the air, right? Is that true, that everybody's truth is different?
Absolutely. So listen, I believe.
Anyhow, I'll open up the room if someone wants to come in. I'd love for some street epistemology people to come in and give their views on this. Tell me why I might be wrong, right, if they agree, disagree. I said some pretty harsh things here today. I'll link. All you have to do is click on it. Yeah, good example. 2 + 2 = 5. I think that's true. It's true that everybody would say that's not true. That's sane and not crazy in the head. In this universe, where contradictions are not possible. And is not using some type of imaginary math. I mean, I agree with everything you said and you offered sound advice, Doug. Gomeo, are you a street epistemology guy? I actually don't even know. Who are you? What positions has Peter taken that has caused this uproar? I think it's mostly the anti-woke stuff. Like Peter is on record saying that he views wokeness as a delusion. I think he said that, right, Reid? That it's a pile of dog shit. Wokeness is a pile of dog shit. Has he said that publicly or just to me? Whoops. Oh, is Peter here? Oh, a different Peter. Oh no, it is what?
Why?
Your name is Peter. Did you see that?
Is it? Why?
I don't know.
Oh, it must have been the last time I was on here. Peter was on.
Hang on, let me get your
you.
face. Did I say anything that will get me in trouble?
It's nothing new that hasn't been said already.
Well, no, I said that if you're worried about the brand of SE because of one man, then you don't have a brand. I said that earlier on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this has been going on ever since Peter started being more public with his views around anti-wokeness. It's just another one of those times where people are trying to share their opinions about their criticisms of him and doing that.
What do you?
I don't know what else to do.
What do you think people will say to when I brought up my wife? Like, my wife has now a better view on Peter than, let's say, 5 years ago because of his anti-woke stance. And now she actually has a more positive view of street epistemology because of Peter.
Yeah, that's a reason. Yeah, if more in the SE community, people in the SE community talk about different things, it'd be great to, like, my ideal place I want to be is where tons of people with different views use SE and talk with each other, and we help solve these societal issues, moral issues, political issues. SE is a great way to have conversation. So get a bunch of people with different ideas talking. And when people are going to have strong disagreements, just encourage more conversation and less shunning.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen.
But how do you do that with people who, like, if I say I'm against hormones for teenage trans kids who identify as trans, and someone's really pro that because they feel it saves lives, and I don't want to talk to Doug because he's hurting kids, he's killing kids with his rhetoric, like, and so they don't want to talk to me. How do you change that?
It's possible to find anyone who can believe any kind of belief, and you create SE content and show how it's done. Find someone who believes something like that. And record content.
So if the people at the Transatlantic don't want to talk to me anymore, which I don't know is true or not, but let's say that's true, I need to find someone who's, let's say, trans, who's pro hormones for kids, who will talk to me, have a civil conversation, and then send them that video.
Yeah. Say, this is how it's done. Do it more like this. Or not even send it to them, just show it to the world.
Yeah.
And let people take that good advice. You're modeling a way of having better conversations. Peter is modeling a way of having conversation with this new Spectrum SE format, which I helped him innovate. It's obviously engaging and entertaining, which is putting millions of eyeballs that wouldn't have otherwise on SE.
Yeah.
But the topics of discussion are causing division and worry in the SE community. I'm sorry. We have our values and beliefs. We think there's problems in society that need help solving, and we're solving it in a very civil and liberal way. We're not antagonizing people. We are out there in the street asking very fair and open and reasonable questions. Not perfectly all the time. Peter can do better. I'm helping him. So feel free to create content criticizing Peter's version of SE.
Okay, yeah, I want to talk to you about this because I've had this criticism that Peter's having laid on him. It's been put on me. If someone likes SE, does SE, that doesn't mean they have to do it all the time, right?
Yeah, no. If you have other goals besides merely helping people reflect on the quality of their reasoning, like you have activist persuasion goals, like helping people who are being hurt by Christianity leave Christianity, that's also fine. And there are other ways to do that as well. So you can combine SE with other tactics. You can
even
be your own
mocking
person. Sure.
Okay, but this is the problem, like, because I will admit that a lot of my videos are very sarcastic, can be viewed as mocking, and yeah, he is mocking at times. But then so on a Tuesday, here I am mocking Christians, and then on a Wednesday, I'm doing strict SE with a Christian. Like, Christians will look at that and say, well, I can't dialogue with Doug after what he did on Tuesday. I mean, he hurt my feelings.
I know. Well, unfortunately, I have to go. I have a live stream with Peter.
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up in 30 minutes, and we have a pre-convo meeting to brainstorm what we're going to be talking about. So
Okay.
feel free to watch that coming up in 30 minutes.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear more conversation. And
What's the name of the title of the show?
It's on Peter's channel. It's the next live stream on this channel with Eric Smith.
It's about racism,
And-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But just to let people know, as president of SEI, I'm open to hearing any points of view. The SE board just had a meeting with a subset of the SE community, hearing out their grievances. We'd love to continue this conversation. The SEI board is discussing the situation. So stay tuned.
And SEI stands for Street Epistemology International.
Yes,
Okay.
a nonprofit. So we're talking about it. So
Okay.
keep the conversation going. Thanks, Doug.
Yep. See ya.
Later.
Just to let you guys know, Reid is a very good friend of mine, but he leans left, I lean right, politically. Same with Peter Boghossian. Peter Boghossian leans left. I think both Reid and Peter would call themselves classical liberals. I think I would call myself a classical conservative. But the definitions can still be up for grabs. And we get along fine. Someone else said that being dead, more dead inside is not a virtue. I disagree. I actually do think being more dead inside, not completely dead inside, but being more dead inside is virtuous because it helps you have these types of conversations without getting emotional about it, without immediately getting defensive about it. Like, think about it this way. Take something that you really don't care about at all. Like, I don't know. For a lot of people who lean left, it's sports. They don't care about sports. So let's say a sports team was going to change the color of their jersey from green to blue. And we're going to debate this. And you go, I don't care. Well, are you willing to engage in a rational conversation about the pros and cons of changing from green to blue? Sure, why not? Okay. Like, you got no stake in the game. You really don't care. You're open to listening. Okay, there's maybe tradition you want to take into consideration, but blue is a better color. We did polling studies or focus groups, and blue, this color blue looks nicer, and it might increase engagement. So you can just sit back. You can hear all the arguments for and against, and you go, and you can make objective decisions because you don't care about the issue. Now try that with trans issues, with climate change, with any issue that you are really passionate about. Just really put yourself in a position where I don't care. But then actively listen to the pros and cons, both sides. Then it becomes easy, right? What are liberals ever liberal about? Well, I think what Peter and Reid would say is that what it really means to be a liberal is that the arena of ideas, that nothing's taboo, that we should be able to discuss these things in open dialogue, that you have to even risk disinformation, misinformation, because it might actually be real, true information. And so therefore, there shouldn't be censorship, that this is the true liberal position. Yeah, the real issue is tribalism. But tribalism is about caring too. I care about my member of my tribe more than you outside the tribe. So I will defend this member of my tribe, even though part of me kind of disagrees. But I can't say it publicly because we've got to be united. Like, I have dissed atheists so much on my channel, on this channel, the religious channel, this channel, to the point where I think a lot of atheists have left. I don't want to listen to Doug anymore. Like, I've said things like this. I think a lot of you atheists listen to my channel and channels like mine just to justify your decision that you're an atheist. That's all. You want to feel good inside that you made the right decision if you left Christianity or left Islam. And you're using guys like me to justify and feel good about what you've done. I am just telling you what you want to hear. Ugh. Now, I've said this as a bad thing against atheists. But you know what? I'm very confident that's true. Not all of you, but a lot of you atheists. You just want to hear what you want to hear. You want to hear guys like Apologia show you why the New Testament's full of crap. Why it's made up and why it was borrowed from this or that. Or why it might be contradictory. You want to hear this stuff. You feel good, like, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. But if you've done all this stuff on your own already, you already know this. And you might be willing to change your mind on new evidence, but why do you need to hear it over and over again? This is why I think anti-theism is dying, because eventually you atheists are going to get sick of it. I know all this stuff already. I mean, this is 5 years ago stuff. Wrong. I want you to support a fellow bigot. Yeah, we're all bigots, right? The room's open if someone wants to call in. Any other street epistemologists out there who want to call in? If you don't want to call in, but you are a street epistemologist, maybe share this link with the street epistemology Discord somehow, if there's anybody there. What are you laughing at, Jerome? I like that you're laughing. Literally watch 3 or less atheist YouTubers. We're just laughing at this take. Well, I'm happy to know I'm one of the 3. Yeah, I think it is kind of fun to just watch channels that you disagree with. Because who knows? Maybe you'll change your mind. Or maybe you'll change the content creator's mind. I'm the only conservative atheist on YouTube. That's not true, is it? That's not true. What's his name? Dave Rubin. He's big time conservative. And isn't he an atheist? No. He's agnostic now, right? Yeah. I take that back. Who are some atheist conservatives besides me? Oh, I know one, but I can't say it because he's a closeted atheist conservative. They're out there. But yeah, there are big atheist YouTube content creators out there who lean heavily conservative, but fear that they'll lose money if they let it out. Well, Jerome, I said almost everyone. You might not be one of them. I said a lot of you, which is different than all of you. So you could be the exception, Jerome. Jerome. You're special. You're special, Jerome, in the eyes of Satan. I have no idea if Blair White's conservative or not. The room's open if someone's calling in. I would assume that there'd been a lot of street epistemologists who want to come on and talk, but maybe they don't know this channel exists. How confident am I that humans will innovate our way out of climate change before it's too late? 90%. But your question is, if you want to be good at SC, you got to really tighten up the questions. Because that question has some assumptions in it. It assumes that that's my position. Like, I do not deny climate change is happening. The answer I gave was for the correct question, which would be that there would be doomsday, that very negative effects of climate change that we can innovate out of. Would be the better question. And that I'm 90%. Think of it this way: from the 1820 to 2023, the temperature of the climate of the globe has gone up 1 degree. Are we better off now than back then? I'd say now. So let's say it goes up another degree. You really think it's going to be that much worse than from 1820 to 2023? So you ask questions like this of people who really fear climate change, and they go crazy. You can't compare the two. Do trans people overgo surgery in order to fulfill some sort of stereotype they believe people of a certain sex have? Overgo? You mean, what word did you mean to say there? Yeah, Greg. There's a stereotype of what a woman or man looks like, and so they will fulfill that stereotype. Better in what regard? Ecologically? If we're focused on humans, I think humans are better off now than they were in 1820, definitely. There'll always be species dying off and species flourishing with changes in conditions. Hey, Daniel. We've talked before.
Hi, Doug. Yeah, I've been on here before.
Well, did you want to talk about street epistemology?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I had some thoughts about what Peter is doing, and I didn't really think that what he's doing should be called street epistemology.
Yeah.
I do think he should call it something else, like call it, the number game or the agree or disagree game, something like that.
But this is what I was asking Reid about, because you can find videos of me, which I think even people in the street epistemology community would admit, this is pretty good street epistemology. It's pretty strict. Doug did a fairly good job here. And then the next day, this is completely not street epistemology. Like, do we have to put on like a warning lights? This is street epistemology. This is not street epistemology. Like, it becomes almost stupid, right?
I don't think it's stupid. I think it's going to confuse people if you say that you're doing SE, but you're actually not. I think you should be more clear.
No, but what if you're not saying you're doing SE, or saying that you're not doing methods?
Sure, then I don't think it matters. But if Peter's going to put SE in his video, in the title of his video, but he's not really doing it, then wouldn't you say that is misleading?
Okay, but then you have another problem. No, I would not say it's misleading if He is doing strict epistemology in some part of the video.
If it's in some part. Do you think that, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your definition, right?
Yeah.
Of what you think it is. Maybe he has a different view of what SE is.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he has a different view. But like I have put in my titles a certain word where it only represents maybe 5% of the whole video. So let's say I talk about global warming or something in a video where 95% of the time we're not talking about global warming. Like, is it disingenuous to put the word global warming in the title?
Probably not.
Yeah. So I think what Peter does is, like, with shorts, it's different because they're short. They're under a minute long. And if he puts in the title street epistemology and it has nothing to do with street epistemology, then yeah, I agree with you. That's not good.
Do you think that doing that, agree or disagree scale game that he does, do you think that is SE?
I think it's a form of it. Yeah. They don't, it's funny. They've got terms for everything now. The SE community calls it, what is it? SES? They admit it's a form, but it's like expanded. It's like an offshoot of it. But basically it's using Socratic questioning to get at the root of why people believe what they believe, but it's not one-on-one. It's, let's say, one person asking questions of a group, and then the group are explaining it to each other. So it's a form of SC, but it's different than a one-on-one SC thing.
Okay, sure. So I'll just say the
Spectrum.
thing that...
Thank you, Gomio. It's called Spectrum.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But who cares what we call it? That's what I'm getting at.
Who cares what we call it? I mean, I guess people that want to use it, I mean...
I can answer that question for myself.
That's tricky.
I think the reason why people care what you call it is because of tribalism, because of branding, because of community, because they want a certain group to be viewed a certain way. And if someone does something different, then say, oh, they're not part of our group. And I'm saying, get rid of those those tribes, get rid of those brands. Just do what you want to do, and people can still criticize you and say this is not the best way to do it. But it's like Christianity. Like, there's so many different versions of Christianity, and other Christians say, you're not a true Christian. Yes, I am. You're not a true Christian. That's not true SE. Yeah, it is. You're not true SE. Like, this is all ridiculous.
Right. At the end of the day, it's a method. And you don't have to announce even to the person you're talking to, hey, I'm about to use this method, blah, blah, blah. You just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And
the thing I think that so maybe I need to understand what the Spectrum SE is a little bit more, but the thing that I miss that I don't see him doing much is the kind of part where I think you're supposed to say, how do you know that information? Where did you get your information? I think he does that sometimes, but I think in my mind, if you're doing SE, you need to do that every time. And then you need to ask the person, is that a good way to come to your conclusion? Like, oh, I saw it on the news. Well, is seeing something on the news?
He definitely does ask those questions, but in my opinion, his weakness is he spends too much time having people explain, which is good, but he spends too much time on having people explain their position when it's pretty obvious what they're saying. Like, I can't bring up specific examples right now without wasting too much time, but yeah, he talks a little bit too much for my liking too sometimes.
It seems to me that his goal is mostly, it's like two parts. It's like, first, to prove that people with different views can have a conversation, which is pretty admirable.
Yep.
And then I think he's also just trying to get people with different views to explain themselves to one another. He's less doing the thing where in SE, I'm trying to get the person to reflect deeply on what they are even saying. And he's just trying to get different people to talk that normally wouldn't talk. That's what I see he's doing.
But that's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I don't know. So
and a lot of the reflection that we as humans should be going through with questions don't happen on video. They happen when they're at home and you're reviewing the conversation in your head. That's where the real reflection happens.
Yeah, you know, the things I saw early on when I was encountering this stuff with Anthony Magnabosco was the most interesting ones for me was when he would give his business card out, and because he'd keep the conversation short, because, you know, he knew that he was kind of more just like put a pebble in your shoe kind of thing. He'd say, if you think about this later, you know, email me, you know, and we can talk more. And I think that is more where the work is happening. No one's going to change their mind in the heat of the moment. That rarely happens, in my opinion.
Yeah, what's interesting is strict SE is boring to watch.
Depends on who you are, but...
Well, okay, hang on. Let me qualify it. Strict SE is mostly boring to watch. And so if you want to expand, I think Reid alluded to this, if you want to expand this tool, this dialectic tool, it actually behooves you to have some controversial issues and even some animosity happening, like that old guy, you know, did the Hitler symbol. Because people say, whoa, this is fun to watch. And they go, oh, what is this SE thing anyhow? And then they learn about it. But if you're just listening to two people talk about, and they're being totally nice and civil, you know, it's a kumbaya moment, yes, but, you know, most people are not going to watch it.
Well, here's another question is it even effective when you have a group? Because people's egos are involved. There's a bunch of people watching, you know, they almost are more likely to be defensive.
I don't think the people
like the line.
I don't think the people even know. Like the people who I showed that video of standing on those lines, my guess is they had no idea who Peter was. They have no idea that this could potentially be viewed by 100,000 people. Yeah, they have no idea. They know it's being videotaped, but
yeah, trapped. Walked right into his trap.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are my hot takes. It's an interesting topic, but I still think he's got certain goals. Peter's got certain goals he's going for. I think if your goals are more deeply on the get someone to reflect, maybe their mind doesn't change. My critique or my study of it has been it's way more effective one-on-one.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at with the boredom thing, because so many SEers, I think, are viewing this in terms of video views, like Peter gets a lot of video views, and they don't. But really, they should not care about how many views they get. They should, well, you want to promote SEs because you really believe it's an effective tool, but on the same hand, when you actually are applying it, it's meant to be when the camera's off and you're just having conversations with people at the bar or you know, at the cafe. So, yeah.
It's very similar, you know, going back to Christianity in the sense of, are you doing it if kind of nobody's watching? Are you doing it just because you think it's good? Or are you trying to become like a YouTuber? You're trying to, you know, pay your bills by getting views and stuff. So I guess, I mean, I don't know
the thing
Peter's situation as far as that goes. He's got books and stuff. He's traveling around the world. Like
I'm quite sure Peter's already financially independent, and I think he does this because similar reasons as I do. Is you get a dopamine rush. Now he does make money from it. There's no doubt about that. How much? I don't think he spends and reinvests a lot of money. If I was to investigate his books, I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks even at best.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he travels the world. He has, I think, 4, 5, 6 people working for him. Yeah, he's actually, I've talked to him personally. I won't divulge anything, but he spends quite a bit of money. And
Yeah, I mean, if he's financially independent, if he cares about this, he probably, looks at it almost more like just an expense, because he cares more about the topics at hand. He doesn't have to, come out in the black or something.
Yeah, and I don't think he takes a huge officer's compensation package or anything like that. Like well, I shouldn't get into that, but yeah, I think I think he's well to do already. But yeah, if you're an SC type content creator, you're not going to get a lot of views unless you start doing what Peter's doing. That's just science, because SC is not that exciting.
Maybe he could kind of bring it back around by doing some more one-on-one type things. Now he's doing these one-on-one interviews, where he does some of his questions where he kind of plays dumb in some of the questions. He's like, describe this to me if I didn't know anything about it or something, which, isn't bad, but maybe he should try to do some videos where he's just one-on-one with somebody. I don't know, but hey, the drama is always interesting.
What I think what he is saying is that he finds it difficult to do one-on-one videos with people who are willing to go on with him, because he is a pretty big name, that they don't want to do it. It's one of those things of guilt by association. So if you are a trans activist or whatever, you do not want to go on with Peter because you don't want to risk Peter actually getting the better hand of you and then causing doubt in your followers. This is the same problem I get, why the big names won't talk to me. Sean McDowell will never come on my show because he has everything to lose and nothing to gain. He wants to keep his tribe intact. I don't care about my tribe. I don't care if my tribe goes away, but he does. And so, yeah. And I think this is what's happening with Peter.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, those are my hot takes. Not sure if I have anything else, but hopefully some people come on with more hot takes then.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Daniel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, let me see. Last time Anthony posted, I think it was a year ago or more. Videos, yeah, 1 year ago. How about lives? 5 years ago. Hillary email says, Pinecreek doesn't care about us? You never sent me a birthday card, Hillary's emails. You never sent flowers when my sister died. I'll never forgive you for that. Kidding. Hi, Tony and Ali. We're just having fun here talking about street epistemology, something you guys have never heard about. This is a great tool on how to talk to people. You ask them mostly questions and get to the root of why they believe what they believe and what would change their mind. It's foreign, I know. Most people haven't heard about it, but it's amazing. Convince me I'm woke. I got to ask you some questions first. Are you sad, lonely, and depressed? Are you full of anxieties? If so, you could be woke. Do you care so deeply about issues, and do you feel so sorry for certain groups of people that it prevents you from thinking clearly? If so, you may be woke. I'm not filtering the live stream chat. I don't know. Okay, I got live chat on. Okay, last chance for someone to call in. Links on the top. We'd love if an SE person would call in. I invited Nathan, not Digital Gnosis Nathan, but the other Nathan. What's it? Abstract something. Abstract Conversations. But I just realized he's at Burning Man. They got rained out. I think everybody's leaving now, so he's probably on the road. Who does Pinecreek feel sorry for? Great question. I feel sorry for kids born with bone cancer. That's where my feel sorry for is bar starts. Look at all these. Like, this is true spam. We got one guy with 100 accounts. Oh, good. Is this Nathan? No, this is Nate.
Other Nathan.
There's so many Nathans. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I'm at work, so I don't know. My audio video might be a mess.
Now, are you a true SC person?
I've been doing SE for a little over a year now, actually. So I started a channel, I'm gonna say August last year. So I've been out there going at it for a little while.
Okay. Did you hear what I've had to say about it so far?
I only came in, I think maybe right before you started talking to Reid, or maybe in the middle of when you were talking to Reid. So I've heard since then.
Oh, you missed my opening monologue, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. I'll go back and listen to it at some point. So Gomeo was telling me I needed to call in, so I figured I might as well. So
yeah, so let me give you the Cole's notes and what I said in the opening monologue, that I think if SE people are worried about Peter Boghossian, they're worried about a brand that doesn't exist. If it can be taken down from one guy, albeit, yeah, he started the phrase and everything. If it's so fragile that one guy can destroy it, then you probably don't have a brand to begin with.
That's probably pretty fair, I would say.
And then I also said that if you're worried about people like Peter Boghossian, and some people would say, I'm Peter Boghossian 2.0 or 0.5, depending on how you look at it. If you're worried about that association, don't wear the T-shirt. Like, you can make your own T-shirt that says "I'm not with Peter."
Yeah, I mean, I think there's reason for some cause for concern, but I don't think it's anything to like freak out over. I have had occasionally people are like, "Oh, you're doing that Peter Boghossian thing," and I tell them, I like to think of it as the Anthony Magnabosco thing, but if you want to call it that, like, so his name is definitely pretty prominent out there, you know.
Yeah. And I also said that if you're going to do SE and not have the Peter Boghossian problem reoccur, never ever make your own claims. Never state your position. Never let people know what you really think, because as soon as you do, then people are going to say, "Oh, you're that guy? Oh, I'm not talking to you."
Yeah, but I'm kind of at that point. I think that's their problem.
Yes, I agree. It is their problem.
Like in enough of my videos, when I offer for my interlocutor to ask me questions, and they ask me questions, like I answer them and I put those, I include them in the video. So,
like, what sort of questions do they ask you?
That often. So a lot of times they'll just ask me, "Well, what do you think about my claim?" Which hasn't happened too much. It's usually been on God claims. And so I kind of, without like overstating my case, I tell them, well, on that confidence scale, this is where I'm at. And sometimes they ask why.
Oh, so you don't do what I do, where I say, well, I think your beliefs are crazy.
Yeah, no, I still try to maintain rapport as well as I can.
But you know what? I get away with it, Nate. You know why?
Yeah, you do.
Because they respect the honesty.
Yeah. And it's a little bit different. We've talked about this before in some of the review shows and that sort of thing. Your situation is different. I mean, people are calling into you who know
what they're getting into,
what you're about and what you what you generally believe. It's a little bit different when you're sitting in a park or a college campus and inviting people to come up there. So
yeah, you're right.
So there's different people have different approaches. Your approach is, very humorous and sarcastic and that kind of thing, and it works for you, which is great, and it makes for entertaining live streams. So
how much of this do you think with the Peter issue is that it's just because of politics, that so many people in the SE community, if you believe polls, 66% of atheists lean left. Well, Peter leans left too. So maybe, I don't know. But, Peter seems like, maybe if it's true, the vast majority of SEers are consider themselves woke, and Peter says woke is a pile of dog shit. How much do you think is this playing a part?
Yeah, I don't think a vast majority consider themselves woke, but that term is so hard to define. I guess it depends on what you mean by it. I think a decent amount of the Peter concern is just political differences, but I think for a lot of people who are pretty involved and aren't as tribal, it's a concern more about like how well he does the method with different claims. So it's something, and I know that like Reid has been like working with him to like, okay, you're not really doing SE, and then he's slowly trying to get him to do more of the things that he wrote in his own book, right? Like, you wrote the book, dude, but you're not always doing it that well.
Okay, but do you expect him to always do it?
No, but I do expect I think it may be more of a marketing and branding thing. Like sometimes the stuff that they put out isn't very much SE, but it still has like SE on like the thumbnail, SE maybe in the description, SE and that sort of thing. And so I think like that's something that I do with some of my conversations. Honestly, I'm always trying to do SE. Sometimes just based on like my interlocutor, what the claim is. If I don't feel like I actually did the method very well, sometimes it's just like you can try and the interlocutor is just like they're just rambling or something. They're not really following the conversation. I still sometimes will put those out as like an attempt, but I don't even call it SE in the title. I call it like cordial conversation or something like that.
You could just put failed SE in the title.
Yeah, that actually might be even better.
Yeah.
I tried. It didn't work. I did my best.
Actually, wouldn't it be best for all SE conversations to be titled failed SE? And then if someone watches, well, actually, no, that wasn't a failure. I think it's pretty good. And you just set the bar really low,
Yep. It wasn't perfect, which it never will be, obviously. So,
but it's like Reid gave me permission to say this. Reid let me watch. Were you in that video, 2-hour video, a couple days ago, where they talked about SE and Peter? Oh, you're not that high up in the SE food chain, I guess.
Oh, they had a like a review video.
No,
came out
no.
Or just a video call.
Yeah, amongst.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the board or anything like that. I don't have that kind of time, man. I've got a job.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a teacher.
But I listened to that too.
I got 2 kids and a job and a wife, and she already thinks I spend too much time on this weird hobby. So.
Separate bedrooms.
We were last night because she wound up in bed with the one who's sick right now. So I had one in my bed and she had.
Well, hopefully you're talking about one of your children.
Yeah. No, it's a very interesting living arrangement.
But I listened to a 2-hour discussion about Peter and SE that Reid sent me. And hang on, I gotta verify that. Yeah, I think he said this. I can talk about it, or at least mention that I watched it. But I listened to it, and I couldn't help but thinking that I was back listening to the deacons and elders of a church talking about. This is true Christianity. This is true SE, and if someone deviates, we need to excommunicate. Like it's.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it sounded so religious to me. We need to disassociate ourselves from the backsliding member.
That's really interesting to me. I wouldn't expect that sort of talk to happen because there's a lot of discussion about like what SE is and how to define it, and it's something that's changed. Like. Anthony said many times, it was one thing when Peter put out his book, but it's changed so much since then. So I think SE is more about the attitude and the intent, and that the tools themselves can change over time. how you actually go about the conversations. Like, you don't necessarily have to use a confidence scale. You can still do SE. You don't necessarily have to always maintain super cordial rapport, right? Like, you spend rapport a lot. That's like kind of a phrase that was, I think, invented.
I try to end every conversation at 0.
Like, there's lots of things you can do differently, but I think if your intention is to help your interlocutor understand their own beliefs, and also for you to understand theirs, that's a big goal for me, is to just have a polite conversation where I can understand where somebody else is coming from, and then also hopefully help them reflect on where they're coming from. I think if you're doing those things, you can take a lot of different routes to get there.
Yeah.
And it still be SE.
Why even put a label on it, though?
I mean, we use labels just to help us identify things, and I mean, to organize communication, to rally around stuff. I mean,
yeah, that's the tribalism, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I would hope that SE wouldn't become tribal. Hopefully, if we're tribal about stuff, it's just like treating people well and caring about truth, which I guess I can get behind that tribe. To a certain extent. But
I shouldn't poo-poo tribalism too much, because I do see utility in it. Like Nathan, the other Nathan said, that wouldn't it be great if people saw the SC emblem and logo and said, oh, I want to talk to that person because they represent what that emblem represents. And I get that. But I'm fearful, not fearful. I'm worried. I'm not worried. I'm some type of human emotion, concerned that.
Well, you don't have those anymore, Doug.
Yeah, I know. I do get a little concerned that then it's at risk of being so tribalistic that you have to do exactly the A, B, and C, and if you don't, we're going to chastise you, and you might be out of the clique.
Yeah, I don't want to see that happen. I do have concerns about Peter, and it has more to do with not even. I do have concerns, but they're not like overriding concerns. I mean, he's the one who coined the term in his book. I mean,
well, what's your concerns?
Yeah, my concerns are that he doesn't actually challenge, which this is something that everybody has trouble with doing, so it's totally normal, it's totally natural, but that he doesn't follow the method to challenge beliefs or viewpoints that he agrees with very well. So I've seen some videos where they're doing that spectrum stuff, and it can be really obvious, at least to somebody who is familiar with like what Peter's views are on things.
Yes.
When he'll be really challenging one person really hard, and then the other person seems to be getting off scot-free, and so, which I think can also just be an issue with the spectrum stuff. But I've done the spectrum. I have a club actually that I'm the sponsor for that's around SE here at the high school, and we did spectrum one day, and I think I managed it pretty well. Like, it can be done in a way where it's less of making people argue it with each other, and it's more just like, hey, we have this visual representation of where you are, and okay, you can listen to this person's reasons, people's reasons, what would move you on the line. I think it could be a good method. I don't have a problem with the spectrum stuff. I think Peter could do a better job of trying to mitigate his bias during the conversations, but we could all do a better job.
I'm glad you brought that up, because so the complaint is that Peter doesn't do SE with issues that he already agrees with. Right? That was one of the things you said.
Yeah, or at least he doesn't challenge them
as hard
as hard. Yeah, but like I said, I think that's true for probably most people.
Yes, I was just going to say that. I am the exact same way, and I make no apologies for it. And here's why. Because I find it absolutely boring. It doesn't give me a dopamine hit. It's like, I already agree with you. Why am I going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes two people talking about stuff we already agree with? Now, let's get someone who disagrees to challenge us. Like, that would be more fun. And so
it is interesting, though. I just had an interview come out with a lady who said we need better civic education, which I totally agree with. And it was really interesting. We had like a 15-minute talk about it. And eventually she said something about like, well, yeah, well, I just don't know if that would change how I feel about my experience. And I repeated back to her what she said. And she's like, did I say that? Did I say feelings? I didn't think that I would say that. And so she still had this like a
Yeah, you can still do it.
But I still challenged her on, and it was, so for me, like that was still really fun.
But this is what I fear. This is what happened with me with the Robert Price thing. There were so many people who said, "Oh, Doug's an atheist." Well, actually, Robert Price is an atheist too. But I got flack for not pushing back on Robert Price. I don't know if you ever saw that interview over a year ago.
I at least saw parts of it.
Yeah. So I got a lot of flack for that. But the thing is, probably the first half of that interview, I agreed with almost everything he said. The last half, not so much. So I felt no need to push back. And the only reason why I would push back would be for the benefit of those people who wanted me to push back. You know, it's this thing that I disagree with what that person said. I view them as extremist and dangerous, and yet Peter didn't push back. But Peter probably doesn't view them as radicalized and extremists, and so he doesn't feel the need to push back or ask questions. It doesn't even dawn on in his brain to push back because, oh yeah, that's just normal.
Yeah, and that's something where I think like if you are really trying to do SE, like if you're really just trying to do SE this is what I mean, but like with pure motives, right? Where it's really just about like understanding somebody and getting them to reflect on their reasoning.
Yes.
It really shouldn't matter if you agree or disagree. It makes it easier to come up with questions.
Okay, but listen to what you just said.
Disagree, but
listen to what you just said. It shouldn't really matter what the position is, but yet you started with the criticism that Peter doesn't push back on certain issues, but it shouldn't matter what the issues are.
No, yeah, I'm saying that it shouldn't affect your ability to do SE if you're like, let me see if I can try to. If Peter was really trying to just like do pure SE without, which I think that he definitely has like ulterior motives. It definitely seems like it's a crusade against wokeism, right?
He'd admit that.
If that priority was much lower and just doing good SE was a higher priority, I think you'd see him be more effective in doing SE, even with people who agree with him more.
But I think he would say, because I'm basically Peter 2.0, he would say he values the anti-woke agenda more than SE.
I agree.
Yeah. So for him, this is such an important issue: free speech, not censoring, not canceling. That trans is horrible for kids. All these issues. He would say this is way more important than strict SE, and he will make no apology for it.
Yeah, no, those are.
And as channeling my inner Peter, I think he would also say that my method of showing these people to be absolutely ridiculous, unhinged, and emotional is more effective than actually strict SE for what I'm doing when hundreds of thousands of people watch it. One-on-one, he'd probably say it's better to do strict SE, but for a broad audience, no, you want these people to look dumb and stupid and expose the things they're saying and how irrational they are. And yeah, I think that's what he'd say.
I don't think SE is very good for activism, really.
No, it isn't.
Unless you consider yourself like an activist for turning down the temperature in the room, or an activist for critical thinking, or an activist for something along those lines that really aligns with what SE is. There are other methods that are much better for activism.
SE kills activism.
Yeah, it really kind of does, because if you are really into SE and you do it a lot, you just naturally are going to become a little bit less confident in like all the beliefs and positions you have.
Like SE has killed my activism, if you call it that, with religion. Like I see the value religion plays in society. I see the danger it does as well, but you cannot say that religion has not done some good. In Tucson, Arizona, where I live, you drive down around the streets, you see St. Joseph's Hospital, St. Mary's Hospital. I mean, there are good things being done in the name of religion all the time, and it does give people hope, meaning, and purpose and comfort. And so, if you SC me about what I do on my religious channel, I would have to admit these things, and then that causes me to be less passionate about poo-pooing it.
Yeah, totally agreed. Yeah, I think that, the main reason why I do SE isn't for any particular issue. It's mainly just that, like, the country, the world, we all seem so divided.
Yeah.
People can't talk to each other. Like, how are you ever going to change anybody's mind if they won't even talk to you?
By encouraging them to be more dead inside.
That's one way.
Be less human.
Then you model that, right? So the main reason I do SE is mainly it's to model how to just respectfully have conversations about these difficult topics, but in a way where we can still explore them, we can still challenge them, but at the end of it, everybody feels good.
How much
about
of
it.
this do you think is biology?
How much of what is biology?
Let's say you got two people who agree 100% on a certain issue, but one is just reluctant to talk about it. The other one is more than happy to talk about it to someone who opposes the view. What causes that?
With anything, there's going to be a biological component, right? I would lean probably more to how somebody was raised than biology, but there's going to be a component. I teach biology, so.
See, I would lean the other way. I think it's more biology than environment.
Really?
Yeah. And I think.
I
can demonstrate this to you and see if you agree.
Okay.
How many females are in the SC group?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that way, but that's definitely part of it. I would say there's not nearly so many. Yeah, so when it comes to like conscientiousness and like
women have evolved to at least handle confrontation or these deep issues in a different way than men. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, there are definitely sex differences there in generally how men and women behave. Although a lot of that is also societal too, but I think a lot of it is also biological. There's, once again, components to both of those. But yeah, there are definitely some women involved, but yeah, it's a majority thing. But that's also true of just, I think, not even just SE in general, but also just people being like really involved in and also like debate in like the topics when it comes to like atheism, theism. I think there's generally a lot more men who are interested in that kind of stuff.
But it's even it's not just the male female thing. It's also like I've talked to people who disagree with me strongly on a certain issue. Some of them can entertain a hypothetical, some of them can't. And I don't think it's just always stubbornness or fear or whatever. I think some people are just not as bright as other people. I think as your IQ goes up, the more you're willing you are to engage in hypotheticals. And as your IQ goes down, it's like a kid seeing a toy and then you put a curtain in front of the toy and then the toy's gone. It's like, no, I can't. The toy's gone. What are you talking about? The toy's not there. And then
it's an interesting hypothesis.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting thing to study, are there, because some people are better with abstract thinking than others, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't think that's controversial to say, like how that applies to hypotheticals and genetics behind that. I don't know. Now that I do lots of SE, I'm very hesitant to put much confidence in any hypothesis.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you're here, Nate. Thank you for coming, because that's another interesting topic that this is a danger I see in SE. It's you're less likely to go out on the limb and make a claim.
Yeah.
But we can't live our lives like this of always just asking other people questions about their claims and not saying, no, I am against giving hormones to 12-year-olds. And I am 99% confident that that's bad. For a guy like me, put that out in the ether. Now, I could still admit I could be wrong and all that, but my confidence is very high. And I think through my years of knowing SE people, they are so hesitant to make these bold claims. I don't even think that's a bold claim. I think that's very reasonable, but other people might view that as a bold claim.
It's a matter of apportioning confidence. Like I'm not scared to. There are lots of things I believe and lots of positions I have. I think generally, I'd like the overall confidence. I think being overconfident, especially when people are at 100%, like, that's not what you're saying, but I think that's where we get into a lot of danger. I think a lot of the reason why people won't talk to each other or can't talk to each other is because I don't know if it's a psychological need to feel more certain. I think that's it in a lot of cases. But people are way more confident than their actual reasons should warrant.
Yeah, I agree with that
And so
in general.
SE allows us to, or at least I hope SE allows us to better calibrate our confidence to certain things. And so if I haven't really thought about an issue a lot or done a lot of research or reading into it, I'm just going to generally be less confident until I feel like I've learned a lot more about that topic, Like I can say that I'm 99 point whatever % confident that the tri-omni God doesn't exist because I've read a lot about that. I've thought about a lot about that. I've, studied that kind of stuff, and I can be 99 point whatever % confident about natural selection and evolution and various concepts in genetics and heredity because I have a degree in biology and I teach it and I've been teaching it for 8 years. So, but like other stuff, especially social issues, I might have my stance, but I might only be 80% confident, which is okay. I'm okay with not being 100% or 99% confident in everything that I believe. So,
your channel name is Navigate with Nate, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Someone asked in the live stream chat. Well,
like and subscribe.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do my Roman Catholic impersonation. Do you denounce Peter Boghossian and all his ways?
Oh, if it keeps me in the SE church, I guess then that's the only way.
Don't they say that just before baptism or something? Catechism? Do you denounce Satan?
Denounce Satan?
Yeah. Anyhow, I'll make sure to finish 1 point. I'll duck your head down a bit. 1.13 for is that next Tuesday that I have to finish that?
Oh no, it's today. That was due. That was due like 20 minutes ago. No, it's due right now, 4 p.m.
How big is your average class?
I'm lucky. About 20.
Okay. What state are you in? You don't have to give your exact location, but
Indiana.
Indiana.
It has to do with I'm in one of the lucky suburban school districts, so we don't have too big of classes. But well, we do in some classes. The science rooms, we really are like, hey, we got labs. Max is 24. I've occasionally had more than that, but.
Can you make me a dinosaur like you have in the back there that says,
is that cool?
Let's evolve asteroid resistance?
Yeah, I tried to change to go different units. I actually haven't changed it since the evolution unit last year in biology. I need to update it.
Yeah, that's great. Make me one that says.
One of my students got this for me. Shout out Daisy. Thanks.
Make one with a human figure that says, let's evolve climate change resistance.
Oh, yeah. We got to work on those crops. That's the big thing. But we've been doing that for a long time. We'll keep engineering them. We've been engineering them. We'll keep engineering them.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, Nate. I think this is the first time we talked together, right?
I called in once, but was only on for like 30 seconds. I had like a short question one time, but
and then I booted you.
Well, my kid walked into the room holding his mother's bra while I was talking.
Oh, wow.
Then we laughed, and then you were like,
keep an eye on that kid when he gets to be a teenager.
All right. All right. Well, good talking to you, Doug.
Okay. See ya.
All right. See ya.
That's funny. Okay, I'll take questions. Ask me anything for anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes while the Blues Brothers, the Say Goodnight music is on. Hang on. Tag me if you can. No questions? SEers should call themselves brights. Yeah, Nate's cool. Yeah, we should all learn to evolve to live underneath the ocean surface. Thanks, Sasha. Yeah, this is why I call it Blues Brothers music. Because the music that you're listening right now, I put to this. That's why. I like to entertain myself. You know, the great thing about being able to make myself laugh is that I'm always around wherever I go. There's a real tension between good and bad that tribalism brings. Interesting to talk about that. I agree, there's a tension. But my advice is to keep your tribes very small and diverse. So instead of being involved in one big tribe, have like 10 smaller tribes that you're involved in. If you are a very empathetic, compassionate person, be on a sports team, play softball. If you are a very athletic type person, take an art class, musical theater class. There you go. Interact with people, create tribes, friendships with people who are not normally in your other main tribes. Do you think a person's IQ fluctuates with the people that the person surrounds with? In general, no. I'll do another round here. In other words, I think some people are born smart or born stupid. You can look at extreme examples of prodigies and also people with Down syndrome. No matter how much you put a prodigy around stupid people, they're not going to get stupider. They might get more annoyed. Do you think more people would be likely to talk to you if you didn't explicitly say things like you don't want trans people in sports? Maybe, but then there's more people who would talk to me that I do say that. For example, Jerome, there are more Christians who are willing to talk to me now because I have taken a stand on trans sports than before. Fact. True. So you lose some, you win some. Greg, you gotta learn how to spell, you gotta learn how to write sentences. You need to learn how to keep it short. Stay in school, Greg. Doug, will you do a review of a video called Black Conservatives versus White Liberals by Jubilee? Maybe. I'll try to remember that. I don't think I've seen it. I have posted this comment like 6 times, but the chat keeps filtering it out. Why, are you saying bad words? Just in like 4 sentences, type your question. Many smart folks won't entertain hypotheticals because they assume too much, won't take them at face value. Well, I hear what you're saying, but oftentimes that's out of fear of being trapped. So in other words, if someone gives me a hypothetical that has premises in it that I don't agree with, I will still answer it and then say, but this is assuming blah, 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 blah. This is too much fun. One more round. Another one more round. I watch Pinecreek to keep myself updated on all my beliefs. Pinecreek Politics, if you want to cover climate change. Oh, yeah, I've already read that. Let me guess what you're going to ask. For those of you who don't know, Wadabak is very, very concerned about climate change, and he knows that I'm not. We both agree that climate change is happening. We just disagree on the seriousness. You should review a video called A Conservative Solution to Climate Change. My guess is I'll agree with a lot of it. I actually think if CO2 levels get too high in the atmosphere, that there's one of the only solutions would be to somehow disperse lithium dioxide into the atmosphere, put more chemicals in the atmosphere to absorb the CO2, and then have it fall as a salt and water into the Earth's surface. But for some reason, I think a lot of climate activists won't like that solution. Put more chemicals in the air? That's crazy talk. How do physical processes in the brain give rise to conscious awareness? The same way having hydrochloric acid in the stomach causes digestion. Ooh, I like that. People keep mentioning Potholer like he's the savior for people like me. Is he very liberal on climate change, so it would be interesting. Do you think you'll ever go back on the transatlantic? Apparently I've been banned. I don't know if that's true or not. But wouldn't it be interesting to, the conspiracy theory that the government's putting chemicals in like the jets, the jet streams, the white lines you see in the sky? Wouldn't it be funny, absolutely hilarious, if you could actually solve the CO2 problem by putting lithium hydroxide in getting canisters in every jet that flies around the world that disperses lithium dioxide that absorbs the CO2? And you saw huge, significant drops in CO2 tonnage in the atmosphere in a matter of months of commercial airline flying. I mean, I'm foreseeing, if what I'm saying is a reality, if it could be done, that the climate activists would not like it because A, you're putting more chemicals in the air, and all chemicals are evil, and B, then how are we going to get to more socialism? I mean, that's the real goal here, right? For a lot of people. It's to change the whole political system. I think Digital Gnosis even admitted that to me the other day. Chemtrails, yeah. And people laugh, but I actually think there's some type of proposals out there like that. If humans can put CO2 in the air, we can take it out. We humans are, according to the New Testament, we're like gods, small g. Yeah, there's a plan out there to do exactly that, says Babyfoot. What was that climate change video called again? The one with, just go to, you're talking about the one on Nathan's channel? Digital Gnosis? Just look at the most recent live stream. It's titled incorrectly though. It's titled trans issues, but we didn't talk about trans issues. Because I don't bring it up unless someone else brings it up beforehand. Usually. Who has the higher IQ, the right or left? I've actually tried to answer that question by looking at different studies. And I don't think there's a definitive answer in that. There's differences in how the left and right brain works and what they value, but I don't think you can make a blanket statement on higher IQ. And if you doubt me on that, just think of it common sense wise. Sorry if you're getting sick of the music. A lot of people in academia are left-leaning, not all, but if I was to guess, I don't know, 60 to 80%. But think of all the low IQ people in society. They also are left-leaning. The very poor people who couldn't get jobs in society because of their low IQ. Just me saying that and being honest, a lot of people won't accept, but it's true. And so it's more like the people in the middle tend to lean right. But I think the highest IQ person in the world is a guy named, I forget his name, but he believes God exists. Okay, I promise you, this is the last go around. So you have 120 seconds left. Pinecreek, look up the Unabomber manifesto for his description of the left. It's spot on. High IQ tends more toward mental illness, so left must be smarter, right? Well, actually, I wouldn't know if it's mental illness, but definitely the smarter you are, the less happy you are. In general. Thanks for the talk, Pinecreek. I've wanted to talk for some time, but never had a reason to call in. Filthy, dirty, flag-waving, phony atheist here. Have a good one. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation, Nate. If people in the SC group poo-poo me, maybe you can be my ambassador and say, Doug's not all that bad. I mean, he made some good points. Come on, guys. And the Lord said, poof. My apologies to Peter Boghossian. He was scheduled to come on today's program, but we ran out of time. Plus, he had a live stream to do. Go to his channel, watch him.